You better not ruin your dinner, son!
I won't, officer.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sons of Cinema. My name is Ron, and with me as always, Mr. Michael Entity. Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing well as always, man. It's midnight right now, currently in Arizona as we're filming this. Well, actually, it's
Right.
about to be 1 in the morning, and we saw two movies in one day. Well, you saw it the other day. I saw two movies today. So after this, I'm ready to go to bed. But other than
Right.
that, I'm doing well. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. So as you heard, everybody, we're gonna do a 2-for-1 review today. The first movie we'll be doing is on the 2026 horror movie Ice Cream Man, and then after that, the second one we'll be doing is on the 2026 movie Super Troopers 3. So let's get into it. And as always, everybody, this will be a spoiler review. So spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Michael, sir,
Warned.
would you please give a brief synopsis on Ice Cream Man, please?
Yes, and real quick, everybody, no, this is not a remake of the Clint Howard Ice Cream Man film. Eli Roth even had to make a Twitter post saying that it was not a remake. It's just a very odd coincidence that both movies just so happen to be about two killer ice cream mans, but they're two different movies. So don't be
Right.
confused. But the basic plot of this movie is it takes place in this very small town, which for some reason slashers always have to take place in small towns. They never take place in big cities or like I don't know. They just always take place in small towns. Like, that's just how it is. But a weird, creepy ice cream man appears one day and starts giving ice cream to the children, which turns them into homicidal maniacs, which is causing them to kill adults and also try to turn other children into one of them. It sounds really stupid, but that's only because it is. Now, real quick, Ron, before I share my thoughts on this, what is
Yes.
your experience with Eli Roth as a whole? Are you a fan of his movies, or are you like most people where people just think he's the Michael Bay of horror?
I love Eli Roth movies. I love Cabin Fever. I like the remake of Cabin Fever. I like
Pancakes.
that's right. I love the Hostel movies. Um, I dig his movies, and um, I, I'm gonna well, I'll hold off what I think of this movie before that, but
Right.
I also like Eli Roth as the Bear Jew uh, in
Oh, yep. Glorious
Inglourious
Bastards.
Bastards. He's really good in that movie. So I've always been a huge Eli Roth guy. I lately I don't think what was the last thing that we heard from him. I don't even remember what movie.
Well, so the official last movie he directed was technically Thanksgiving, but then he also directed a little bit of Borderlands before Tim Miller eventually took over to finish the
Mm,
movie. And even Eli Roth has said he doesn't consider Borderlands to be his movie, even though he directed part of it. So technically,
right.
Thanksgiving was his last film, which I actually really enjoyed. Thanksgiving, honestly, I thought it was a pretty solid slasher film.
Yeah, that's a great movie, man. So let's get into some of our thoughts then. What are some of your initial thoughts on Ice Cream Man?
Well, I'll say this. If you are a fan of like exploitation, violent, gory horror, and you care all about the style over substance, and that's really all that appeals you, just go see the fucking movie. Don't worry about the reviews. Don't worry about what me and Ron have to say. Just go see it. Now, overall, I will say, for the most part, I did enjoy myself watching all of the creative kills. I'm happy that this wasn't just a gore fest where it was just the same stuff over and over again. It was very creative on what they were doing with the kills. It is a lot of fun. It is very fast paced. I think besides the very fun creative kills, I thought this movie was pretty bad.
Okay, so my thoughts, my initial thoughts are, I enjoyed the film, for exactly the reasons that you stated. It is a gore fest, and I like this because it looks like Eli Roth is kind of, this is like his response to the new age kind of Terrifier type horror movies
It
that are
it
like,
definitely gives it. It definitely feels like a Terrifier
right.
movie.
And it feels like this is Eli Roth's like new kind of response to, let's just, hey, if they're gonna do it, then I'm gonna take it over the top as well. So I loved it. The kills were great in this movie. We can go over some later, but I want to go over something that I really liked in the beginning was the fake trailer they had for "Don't Go in That House, Bitch" from Snoop Dogg. Did
Yeah,
you get that?
that was funny. I mean, is that even a real movie or is it fake?
No, it was fake. It was fake, but I'm sure that they'll make something of it if it gets a good response. But
It
I was saying
it
that
wouldn't be
I've
the
been saying that for the last 2 days. Like, don't go in that house, bitch.
I mean, technically, I mean, I guarantee they'd make it because it's not the first time Eli Roth made a fake
Right.
trailer for a movie and then ended up turning it into a real movie.
Right. So I first off I dug that, the fake trailer. The movie starts right away with
Yeah,
the
instantly.
kids eating, ice cream literally in the like first 5 minutes of the movie. And for those of you watching, the ice cream turns these kids into like demonic little, what, how would you even describe it? Because it's like they're
Like
brainwashed,
homicide,
but
like
they think they're
homicidal
doing,
maniacs. It's very
yeah,
similar to Weapons if you really
yes.
think about it.
Yes. So it's making these kids, so the kids don't actually think that they're doing anything wrong, if I'm getting that right, because they're, the way they show it from the kids' perspective is they think they're doing like cartoonish type things to people,
Ki-
but they're actually slaughtering them.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was honestly my favorite aspect of the film because I like the fact that this movie it doesn't really give a whole lot of explanation, but then there are some parts where I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? And we'll get into that in a little bit.
Mhm.
But I like the fact that these kids, even when they're like doing all these murderous things, they're still kind of acting like it's a kid game, like as if they were just like maybe like especially that whole entire sequence that's like almost 10 minutes long where they're at the playground and like they're playing tetherball with like people's
Mhm.
heads and stuff.
Yes.
It is creative. I got to give it. No matter, even though I thought this movie was pretty bad. This is the type of movie, and I said this in my review, where it's not like a bad movie that's like insufferable. It wasn't like anything like
Mhm.
Madam Web or Exorcist Believer, where you when you watch Exorcist Believer, you're thinking to yourself, "What the fuck was David Gordon Green thinking?" This is just one of
Right.
those really bad movies where you still enjoy it in a sense. Like I could definitely see myself putting this on at a Halloween party, having a beer with friends, and just having a good time watching it. But I think overall, I think the best part of this movie was just all the creative kills. Because if I'm being honest, and I don't know if you agree with this, Ron, I thought for the most part, I mean, not that I was going into this movie expecting great acting, but the acting in this movie is pretty bad.
I mean, I guess I really didn't notice because 90% of the movie is kids, and these kids aren't all seasoned actors.
Exactly. Yeah, but
So
even Eli Roth,
yeah,
like the scene with like Eli Roth and his wife, is it's Eli Roth is not that great of an actor.
though that's why I was surprised because he's great in Inglorious Bastards, so you would
Yeah,
think
he's
he'd be a
awesome.
little more seasoned by now. But yeah, it's a little cookie cutter and ridiculous in those scenes. Like, yeah, they're really kind of cheeseballish. But 20 minutes in, this movie goes bananas, and it doesn't stop with all the killing and all
Oh,
the
it's
things
like
that it's
it
just,
just keeps going. Like there's
yeah,
never any filler scenes. There's never
no,
any time for the characters to sit down for a second and like have a conversation, which
yeah.
I understand for this kind of movie it works, but I can think of another movie that was really fucking crazy and insane, but still was able to give some substance and enough time for characters to like be characters, and that's Deathgasm.
Oh yes.
Like
Okay.
Very similar because Deathgasm and Ice Cream Man almost kind of have the same length. They're both like hour or 20-minute movies.
Right.
Deathgasm is fucked up and insane and it's crazy, but that movie still had time to develop characters if you really think about it. But in Ice
Yeah.
Cream Man, we don't really get enough. Like if the kids were to have died in the middle of this film, I wouldn't have gave a shit. Whereas in Deathgasm, we actually got time to know these people, these teenagers, before all the crazy shit eventually happened. I know it's a weird comparison
Yeah.
comparing Deathgasm to Ice Cream Man, but again, like I said, it just proves that it doesn't matter how short your film is.
Hmm.
If you can still add all the insane over the top stuff throughout the entire film and still give it somewhat substance in it. But in this movie, it just cares more about the carnage candy. It almost kind of feels like Eli Roth saw the ending to Weapons and thought, let's make that to a 90-minute film or something. I don't know, but I still enjoyed it in a sense. I'm not trashing this movie completely. I did enjoy it for the most part, but it's definitely a film that just tonally doesn't really know what kind of movie it wants to be sometimes.
Yeah. Again, it is Carnage Candy, which I love, and we're kind of on the opposite spectrums. Usually, I'm someone who needs explanation and story. Like, explain to me why this person's doing what they're doing. But in this movie, I didn't need that. Like, I get it. It's just okay. The kids are going crazy. We don't know why yet until the very end. So I'm okay with that. This movie reminded me of a little bit like Children of the Cornish. It
Yeah,
reminded me
oh,
of
absolutely.
Children of the Corn. Um, it if you notice, like the music in it too, kind of had an homage to Jason. If you notice I don't know if you noticed it in the film, but it was actually in a couple times
I don't
and
think I
at the end
did.
of the movie. Yeah, it was crazy. This also reminded me of a movie called Cooties with
Oh,
um,
I've heard that's a really good film.
it is. It's with Elijah Wood, and it's kind of almost the same premise as this movie's. Except the kids are like flesh eating zombies. They've
Okay.
they've contracted some kind of disease or something. But um, so I dug this movie. It felt familiar to me. It was very fast,
It
and it
definitely
was
feels like a movie that could have came out in the 80s.
right. It was entertaining. So I guess you don't have too much positive left. So we can just go into some negatives that you've kind of been going that route because you didn't dig the movie, which is fine. So
I
what were some
definitely
other things some other thoughts, things you didn't like or did like?
Well, overall, like like I said, I didn't
Mhm.
hate this film. Like I think for the most part, I enjoyed it. Like again, I could definitely see myself having a good time watching this, watching this and like just having a beer and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think like when it comes to movies like this, like when you think of over the top stupid films, I
Mhm.
would rather watch like Killer Clowns from Outer Space over this, if you know what I mean. Plus, Killer Clowns
Yeah.
but I mean, totally different movie, of course. Or
Yeah.
so I'd even prefer the Clint Howard Ice Cream Man movie. I fucking love that film. It's great. Um,
Yeah, I love that movie, but this one, I like this movie, man, because of the Carnage Candy. Uh,
the
Terrifier.
Carnage Candy's all. Oh yeah, the Carnage
Yeah.
Candy in this is awesome. I think that's what Eli Roth truly nailed with this movie. I think for the most part, it is a very fun movie. But kind of getting into my negatives, it really has to do with characterization. Now, not I'm not saying that for a movie like this, the characters have to have great character arcs or anything like that. But for me, I felt like there had to be at least something there because the characters in this are just kind of one note characters. Like the main kid, Jared, we really have no idea like what his deal is at all. Like he's just a kid, he plays baseball. At one point he gets bullied by some kid that tries to take his bike, but
Mhm.
there's no progression with this character, which again, I got to say this. I
Yeah.
don't expect like deep methodical character arcs for a movie like this, but when you look at other films that have done the same thing, like Deathgasm or Killer Clowns from Outer Space, where they're very stupid, over the top films, those movies, at least the characters in those films, were able to progress as characters. To show things that they were doing wrong at first,
Right.
and it eventually would come back into play as the film went on. And this, the kids are honestly pretty damn annoying, and I really didn't find myself like I every time the movie would cut back to the kids, I just kept thinking, go back to the other kids. I just want to see the kids if this movie could have easily just been the entire
Mhm.
film where the kids go crazy and kill the adults, but the kids that are trying to survive, I could have cared less. And sometimes when it got to that point, it just kind of became really boring. But I get it. Obviously, you have to add a story. The movie can't just be
Right.
carnage candy nonstop. And another thing that I was not really a fan of, which sorry, I was kind of stuttering there for a little bit, is the essential backstory of the ice cream man. I don't know how you felt about this, Ron. You let me know what you think, but it definitely felt very similar. It definitely felt like a Freddy Krueger or like a Mary Shaw
Uh,
kind of thing, where it's like we find out the backstory where the kids, so the kids go into this church and they find this supposed priest that's like hiding in a freezer.
right.
And we find out that there was like some fiddling going on at a Catholic church, which
Mhm.
is that supposed to be a plot twist? Hmm, I don't know about that. Anyways, basically they were trying to cover it up, just like how they did in the movie Spotlight, and
Right.
they decided to blame one person that could easily be found guilty, which is of course a creepy ice cream man that gives ice cream to kids, and he is sentenced to jail or something, and then he eventually dies. But before that, he makes a deal with the devil for him to get revenge on the parents. And the reason I thought the backstory was kind of lame is because, unlike a Freddy Krueger backstory
Mhm.
or like Mary Shaw's backstory in Dead Silence, where they went off and killed her, this guy was just put in jail. He wasn't killed. He didn't die until he eventually made a deal. I felt like this would have been a lot better if like the backstory was possibly maybe parents like thought like he did what he did and then they decided to kill him, and that gave him like an actual motivation for revenge, because I felt it was a weak aspect. And in the flashback scenes in this movie, I didn't really think about it too much until it has been revealed that this movie used some AI. And as
Mhm.
I was watching the movie, I kept thinking, I don't really notice anything unless that scene was AI. I didn't notice, but there
Right.
was one part in one of the flashback scenes where I was like, oh my god, that's AI. And the reason it kind of annoyed me, and this isn't, I'm not the, and real quick, I got to say this, I'm not the kind of person that is upset when filmmakers use AI. AI is
Mhm.
around, it's never going to go away, and eventually filmmakers will use it. And I personally do think that AI can have its place sometimes in filming. But there's a scene that I noticed, like, oh my god, that is a full on AI scene, where it shows a flashback and it shows these kids running after the ice cream truck. And I thought to myself, why did they use AI for that? You're telling me they couldn't just get the camera and film a scene practically where the kids are driving, like chasing after the ice cream truck? Why do they have to do that AI? It just didn't really make any sense to me. But
What part were you
I've been
referring
talking
to?
a lot. Oh, go ahead.
What part were you referring to?
There's a flashback scene where when the priest is telling the story for maybe about 10 seconds, you see the ice cream truck driving by and you see some kids chasing after the truck trying to get ice cream.
Uh,
And if you really pay attention to it, you can tell that it is AI. I think I noticed it the most because I went into this movie expecting AI since people talked about it. So when I saw it, it really stood out compared to other scenes where I'm just like, because there's even times in the flashback scenes where it's in camera stuff, but and I can understand them maybe using AI if like maybe there was a special effect that they weren't able to perfect with VFX, so maybe they
right.
try to touch it up in AI. But the
Right.
AI scenes that they were doing were stuff they could have easily done practically. Like again, you're telling me you guys can't get your camera, film the guy driving the ice cream truck, and just have the actual kids chase after them? I mean, this
Right.
movie has like 100 kids. Like you have
Yeah.
all the kids that you can use for that scene, and then there's a scene where you see like a cloaked figure for like 5 seconds, like trying to dig up a hole. That was AI. I'm like, why did that need to be AI? You can't just get an actor to wear a cloak and start digging? Like, the AI in this film I felt was unnecessary. Again, there were definitely some things that they could have used AI for, but for those scenes, why? It didn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But I've been rambling enough of that, so I apologize. But I'll talk to you about this, Ron. So, what did you overall think, and what were some of your negatives that you had with the film itself?
Well, my first negative is going to be exactly what you talked about, is the ending. Uh, The premise of this movie is dumb and it's weak. Uh, when it's revealed in the end that, okay, so he just made a deal with the devil. They set up this guy to take the fall. So I guess what? So that because
So
somebody
so
was
so they
dipping
so
the
they could,
priest was
yeah, so
dipping
they
something.
could cover up what the priests did.
Right. So uh, the premise was just kind of like weak and dumb. You're just like, this movie has no, like you said, has no story to follow really. If you're watching this, you're just watching it for the eye candy. Excuse me, not the eye candy, but the the kills and the, you know what I'm saying? Like it's that's all this movie is for. So that's probably my negative. Is just like, you know, I did notice some of the AI parts that you were talking about. They weren't as pronounced to me, but there were some times I was thinking that looks a little weird, like what just
Like it
happened
just didn't
there.
look right.
Right, it just looked a little off, and you're right. There are several scenes with the groups of kids, like the, you know, the wide shots that that when they're panning seem kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I just, this is just all about the gore, folks. This movie is
Definitely.
nothing more than that. I do enjoy it though. It's definitely one that, like you said, I'll throw it on Halloween. It'll go in with my goriest films ever. A couple things I liked um, about some of the shots and some of the kills were the brain scoop. But remember,
That
Stitches
was
did that
that was
first.
awesome.
Yeah,
That
Stitches
was
did it
cool.
first, folks. Yeah, but the brain scooping scene, and also, um,
Stitches is better, by the way.
yes, Stitches is a much better movie than this. Were there any kills that stood out to you? And now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't really put it down enough kills. There were just so many. I mean, they cut
I
off
mean,
that dude's head. They cut his head off. That, you know, that looked like which movie was that with Hannibal Lecter when he cut off Ray Liotta's head, and
oh, I think that was the actual movie that was just called Hannibal.
yeah, and he ate his brains. So we got a couple kills like that where they cut off somebody's head. They're playing jump rope with people's innards. Is there
That
any?
was that was really cool. There
Yeah.
wasn't really any kills that like maybe stood out and made me go, "That's one of the best things I've ever seen."
Mhm.
But they were very creative, and there was a lot. But there is one more negative I wanted to talk about real
Sure.
quick. And it actually has to do with the title character himself, the Ice Cream Man. He is pointless in this movie, and I'll tell you why. Because the kids do all the work for him. Every now and then he shows up and just smiles, and you didn't really have to have him be a part of the killing. Like it's not like he had to be there killing people with the children. But what I think could have really worked, honestly, is to give him like more personality. Like maybe there's a scene where like maybe have him be more involved with the kids rather than just him showing up every now and then just to wave or smile. Like maybe there could have been
Right.
a funny scene where like a kid where they're doing the jump rope with the intestines, and
Mhm.
maybe he actually joins in and starts jumping with them, or
Right.
maybe like when the kids are like playing with the people's like dead body parts, he could be like playing with them.
Right.
Get him more involved, especially because the movie's called Ice Cream Man, and the
Right.
fact that he's hardly in the film is disappointing. And it's clear again that Eli Roth was going for like an Art the Clown kind of thing,
Right.
but the difference with that is Art the Clown had a lot of personality. Even though he is mute and he doesn't say a word, he has a lot of personality, and he's active whenever he does things because of course he's the one that's doing all these murders and stuff.
Right.
This was just a missed opportunity for like the Ice Cream Man again to be really involved and like be there with the kids rather than just walking around making weird facial expressions. So I think the Ice Cream Man himself was extremely underutilized in this movie. What did you think?
He was just the catalyst basically to the kids doing going ape shit in this movie. You couldn't use something like a disease because Cooties did that before. You couldn't use anything like a zombie breakout because that's been done 100 times at least. You know, by in Korean films alone, they they make those all the time. You know,
But
um,
would you agree that it might have made the movie slightly better if like maybe he was like involved in like what the kids were doing rather than just walking around like a background extra?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you there. They almost made this whole movie like what the 5 minute flashback scene that we saw in the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, where they had the
Oh yeah.
scene where they made us kind of feel bad and think that he was really innocent. Freddy Krueger was innocent. So they kind of made this whole movie, the Ice Cream Man, basically that character, but they gave him no other arc. It's just
Other
yeah, you're right. I
than
don't even think he
yeah,
says a word in this entire movie, does he?
no,
I don't even think
no,
he
and
talks.
he didn't, and no, and he didn't have to say a word, for his character to be
Right.
cool. But I just wish they would have done more with him because we like Terrifier because the
Mhm.
movie's called Terrifier. It's not like that movie's called Art the Clown, and we
Yeah.
don't really spend a whole lot of time with Art the Clown. But if you're gonna call the movie Ice Cream Man, you
Right.
better make him like a very fun character. But he's
Right.
honestly kind of boring. The children were like way more entertaining.
Yeah, his character is kind of sucky. And now that you said that, I'm actually looking at a picture of him right now, the Ice Cream Man. He's doing a thing like Art the Clown, like almost like a mime. So you're right. It is, yes, that's the face that I'm
They
looking
needed
at.
I will say they needed to use him more. I don't know if this was going to be
Right.
branching out to be like a franchise because I know this is the first film directed by Eli Roth to come from his new horror company, the horror section, which I will say it is really cool what Eli Roth is doing. The
Right.
fact that
Yeah.
he started this independent horror company, he's funding it himself, and he's giving these low budget filmmakers the opportunity to
Mhm.
make a movie without studio interference and even get their movies actually in theaters for a wide release.
Right.
No matter what you think of this movie or what you think of Eli Roth, that's really fucking cool. And that's a really huge
Yes.
opportunity for low budget filmmakers. So
Yes.
maybe I might have an opportunity. I don't know. Maybe I'll pitch him Stitches too.
uh, I appreciate this movie for what it is. I
Yeah.
guess you would be giving it a thumbs down. I'd be giving it a thumbs up. I'm
I'd be
sure.
giving I'd be giving it a middle thumb.
Yeah, well, I'd give it one up, but I'm sure there'll be sequels to this, bro, because it. I don't think the budget was very big on this movie, and
I read that the budget was 5 million.
I mean that's nothing, man. I'm sure it'll
No, not
make
at
that
all.
back. That will probably make that back tonight. Hopefully, But like we talked about before, man, this thing wasn't advertised very well. Like marketing, I didn't know really shit about this movie until the week of, and you're like, "Hey, there's this Ice Cream Man coming out. You're gonna go see it?" And I was like, yeah, okay." I'm glad I did. I mean, it's not honestly, folks. It's not one you really need to see in the theaters unless you want to. Um, Streaming is sufficient for this film, but I'm glad I saw it. So, do you have anything else before we move on to Super Troopers 3, brother?
All I'll say is again, it's a bad movie, but it's a very entertaining bad movie. So if you have a couple beers or anything, or even if you're sober, and you're just kind of bored, this is a really fun movie. I will say, but it's not a movie I would definitely like watch over and over again, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space or anything
Right.
like that. But overall, it's a fun movie, but it's not Eli Roth's best.
No, it's definitely not that. But I'd throw this in with, VHS Halloween and a Terrifier, Terrifier 3 maybe, or even Stitches, like some gory films put together. Like it would be a good little film festival at your home of all gore. But all right, man. So not much else to say on this. The movie is what it is. Um, uh, I'm sure we'll get sequels very soon, and good luck to Eli
Probably.
Roth and his production company. And yes, like you said, it's awesome. He's doing stuff for independent filmmakers. That's great. He's not dumb. I mean, look at all everything that's happened this year with the back rooms and all the people from YouTube that are making films now. Like it makes sense financially. Scoop up those people. They got great stories, and give them $5 million per movie, and hopefully you get a banger that makes you 50 mil, and so it makes
Absolutely.
sense, and I'm happy. So with that, my friend, let us move on to Super Troopers Trace. Would you please, my friend, give a brief synopsis of this film?
Yes, so the plot of Super Troopers 3 is Farva is getting married to Thorny's sister. Thorny is against it and is trying to stop the wedding, while at the same time there is a subplot where it's Rabbit, Foster, and Mac are trying to locate the drug dealers who are making this weird kind of thing called Canadian crystal, which is methamphetamines with corn syrup or something like that. And Foster and Ursula are no longer together. Brian Cox every now and then shows up just for the hell of it. They
Right.
have a new captain who is consistently trying to tell people that he's not racist. And there's a lot going on in this movie. I will definitely say, out of all the Super Trooper movies, it's definitely the most messiest out of all of them. And obviously, Ron, you and me both, we like Broken Lizard. We love these guys. We think they're funny. Um, the first Super Troopers is a classic. I really enjoy the second one. I think it's just as funny. This movie definitely does have its funny moments, and it's really nice to see them, all these guys again. But I will say, through the entire Super Troopers trilogy, this definitely is my least favorite. What do you have to say?
I first have to say, I think you're being kind, my friend. This movie, I fucking hated this movie. This movie was fucking terrible, and that's hard for me to say, bro, because
It's heartbreaking,
love,
man.
I love Broken Lizard. I love fucking Club Dread. I love, the Super Troopers movies, man. I love, Beer Fest is one of my favorite movies ever.
Please
And
give us Pot Fest finally.
yeah, well, this movie's bringing up an interesting thought for me. Is old comedy properties dead? Are they dead, bro? But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I want to see these cats in a pot fest, because if this movie is any inkling of what they're gonna do next, let's just leave it alone, bro. Like this movie is terrible. Like I wanted
Yeah.
so hard to laugh at shit. And I just finished watching right before we got on the video here. I just finished watching Super Troopers 2. I love that fucking movie. That movie makes me laugh.
Yeah, Super Troopers 2 is actually a lot funnier than people give it credit
Yes.
for.
This movie didn't make me laugh at all, man. I mean, okay, maybe there was one joke in the whole movie that I loved, that I laughed at. I was the only one in the theater that laughed, and it's where Favre's they're at tea, they're having tea, and he goes, "Speaking of Gandhi, I'm starving. Where's the waiter?" I'm like, that was the only part of the movie
Or
I fucking liked.
there was another part where, like, he brings the Gandhi VHS and he's like trying to impress Thorny's parents. He's like, I heard they're making a second one, and Thorny's like, how? He died.
Like, yeah, this movie's it's written full of jokes, but they're just not
the
funny,
the
man. Like,
Yeah, it's so unfortunate because
yeah.
the trailer, the concept of this film seems like it could be comedy gold. The idea of Thorny trying so hard to stop Farva's wedding, it
Right.
seems like a really fun idea. But the problem with this movie is there's so many other subplots going on. And that's not to say that the other Super Troopers didn't have subplots
Mhm.
either. But I feel like even with Super Troopers 2, which is the one that people didn't like, Super Troopers 2 felt balanced though. It still felt balanced, and the comedy in that was more funny. In this, it's almost just like Broken Lizard was like, we can't really come up with a way to balance this, so let's just throw
Right.
everything that we have, and it's just not funny.
No.
And I know, like, me saying sometimes it's too over the top. People will argue, well, Super Troopers is always meant to be over the top and dumb. Yeah, but there are some things in this that I just kept thinking to myself, why did they put that in there? I'm just gonna say this scene right now. That scene where Mac is like in the thing, and then he turns into like a Han Solo thing. That was fucking stupid. For Super Troopers, that was dumb. And
Yes.
the whole idea that he had there's like this electronic car that
Right.
somehow has the emotions of a Canadian guy, and they become friends. I'm like, bro, even for Broken Lizard, this is just dumb.
And unfortunately, the car is probably the best part of the movie. His electronic car that he ends up marrying in the end, which is fucking weird. But I, it, yeah, man. This movie's just bad. Like I got nothing else good to say about it. Maybe
It's
the best scene
unfortunate.
of the movie was when everyone started getting a boner. when when they're
That was
just like all
funny.
sitting there getting boners.
I did like the bachelor party scene. I thought for the most part it felt like these guys were having a good time, but overall, man, it breaks my heart because I love all of Broken Lizard's films. Like even that
Yeah.
one that they did, I can't remember what it was called. Quasi. It was the one they did on Hulu.
Oh yeah, I don't remember that one. They did that. They did the Slammin' Salmon. I don't really get like that movie too much, but a lot of
Yeah,
people like
I really like all their movies. I think they're funny, but when I watched this, I was thinking, and well, you know what even shocked me the most? This one, Super Troopers 3, is actually the best reviewed Super Troopers film.
what? Holy fuck, dude! I don't know
Super
what.
Troop.
Oh,
Well, I'm gonna look at this right now. No, I'm not even. Well, it's based on Rotten Tomatoes. Like it has the highest Rotten Tomatoes score. Is what I'll say. So look at this. So Super Troopers 1. Let's take a look at this. Super Troopers 1 has a 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. Super Troopers 2 has a 35 on Rotten Tomatoes. Super Troopers 3, I wonder if it's still the same or if it changed a little bit, has a 48. That
I
means
don't know.
majority of critics actually liked this one more than the other ones.
Maybe people are fucking with people. I don't know, bro, because it doesn't.
Like,
Boy, the best thing about the movie for me was the popcorn bucket, dude. Look at
the popcorn bucket's really cool.
I almost bought it, but I almost bought that popcorn bucket, but I was like, it was like $55. Best part, that was the best part. I'm glad I didn't because I don't want a popcorn bucket that represents this movie. I love those guys so much,
And dude, and like the whole like even though in Super Troopers 2, even though the reveal of who the drug smuggler was being Rob Lowe, even though that was obvious from the get-go,
Mhm.
at least the story felt balanced and the side characters, the Canadian Mounties, it was a shame that they were not in this movie. They were funny as hell. That's Danny DeVito, bud.
Yes, the
They
Danny
were so
DeVito
funny,
shit.
but the side characters in this film, they're not funny. You got these two guys that
Yeah,
supposedly used to run a weed farm and they like to
right,
fuck around with Foster and Mac. And
right.
like Mac has this whole like character arc where he wants to jump the thing, and that was just really dumb. And and then who else is this? And then you got like another rookie who's a rookie that's a part of the team who's like trying to get them to get drunk with them all the time. And then there's like a plot twist that he is like also a part of it, which
Right.
I didn't really expect that. I mean, I wasn't really paying attention to it. I don't know. Did it seem obvious to you?
It did after a while. This movie became repetitive. There was nothing original in it, no originality at
So
all.
yes, yes.
They kind of rehashed. They tried to rehash things like the thing with him being frozen in the maple syrup is like an Empire Strikes Back, uh, homage, and there were a lot of
It's
homages
just
to a
yeah.
lot of their
It's
movies, like the Dukes of Hazzard. The jumping of the car over the thing was a homage to their Dukes of Hazzard movie, which I love, by the way, as well.
Yeah, but again, like there was just some jokes in this film that I thought to myself, again, even for Broken Lizard, this is
Mm,
just weird. Like like the
yeah.
Super Troopers movies have always been over the top and stupid, but they still somewhat feel grounded in reality where it's not
Mhm.
too extreme. In this, it almost just kind of feels like AI wrote the script, which I highly doubt AI wrote this script. But again, there's just like there's so much stuff in this movie going on where it almost makes you forget what's even going on. Like there's the whole subplot where they're trying to figure out who's doing this meth, but like when it cuts back every now and then, you think to yourself, "Oh yeah, there's that subplot," or "Oh yeah, Farva's getting married," or and whatnot.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, what did you think of? What did you think of the guy that I can't remember his name? I know he's been on some other comedy stuff, but the guy that played like the new captain. What did you think of him personally?
Oh, he used to be on Saturday Night Live a long time ago. He was in Beer Fest. Remember, he's one of the
Oh,
brothers.
that's right. He was in
He,
Beer Fest.
yeah,
Okay.
he's one of those German dudes. What is it, Grandpapa? Um,
I mean, I thought like even though the running joke is that he's trying hard not to be like insensitive and like they're calling him
yeah,
racist, I thought the scene where like he ate the mushroom candies and he started scromiting, which is like screaming and throwing up,
yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. The
Mhm.
crowd definitely laughed at some of it, but overall, I just didn't really think he was funny. Like the whole time, I just kept thinking, "Where's Brian Cox? Just bring Brian
Well,
Cox back."
let's just get back. Let's get to that then. He's not in this movie too often. In the film, he's retired, and he's portraying like he wants to. He's bored in retirement and wants to like come to the station and do things, and he wants to go work in the basement and clean out the basement. Well, what did you think of the? Well, I think that was it the post credit scene that we
Technically, it
got?
was, and you get the post credit scene, and then you
Yeah.
got freaking what's her Linda Carter.
Yes. So the post credit scene alludes to the captain has hidden, like I think he said like $4 or $5 million.
$4 million.
Yeah, he's hidden $4 million where we don't know where he got it from, but he's hidden it in the basement of the police station, and Linda Carter knows about it, and she's a public official. It's like I think she was the governor, right? So I
Yeah.
don't know if they're corrupt or what the hell, but it's alluding to Super Troopers 4. Yay. Fuck. I don't,
Hopefully, that's better than this one.
well, yeah, so what did you think of leaving it open like that with that plot?
I mean, there's an opportunity to learn from their mistakes and do something better. Um,
But these guys were the best at one point. Like, what do you mean learn? Like, it's like,
I don't
what do
know.
they
I
have
mean,
to learn?
again, I know a lot of people didn't like Super Troopers 2, but again, at least that movie was more focused and the comedy was actually funny. Like that whole sequence in Super Troopers 2 where they're trying the pills to see what kind of drugs they are.
Right,
That scene is fucking funny. And
right.
and also the whole idea of having Foster and Ursula break up, I thought was just completely unnecessary. I thought it was dumb. And if here's how I would have done the script personally. I would have kept the original drug operation thing going on because
Hmm.
that's what makes these movies great is because it's the same plot. But
Right.
we kind of expect that from these movies. Here's what I would have done. Have it be with oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone. Have it be Farva's getting married to Thorny's sister because that's still that could be funny.
Uh-huh.
Completely fucking get rid of that whole thing where Farva was the one that hit her car and like he saved her. That was completely unnecessary and it was dumb. Get
It was
rid of
obvious,
that.
too. It was quite
Yeah,
obvious that it was
it was
him the whole
very
time.
obvious. Only Farva would be that dumb enough to do that. Get rid of that, okay? And then what else? Get rid of the whole subplot of Mac trying to like drive his car over there and just focus on the wedding, the drug operation, and then have Ursula be there to kick ass with them. Like, because
Right,
it was a missed opportunity for her to be in the second one because she only has a cameo in this. But in this,
right.
they try to give her more characterization. There's also this whole like love triangle thing where Foster thinks that she's falling in love with the rookie, and it's
The
not
young
funny.
kid,
It's
yeah,
pointless.
it's stupid.
Do you agree with me, Ron? Do you think this movie would have been a lot better if they just focused on the wedding and just the drug operation? Like if it just would have focused on those two things, because they could have focused more on the humor rather than focusing on a lot of stuff that just isn't funny. Or what do you personally think?
Yeah, I mean, I also, I gotta be honest, I hated the it also, this movie also kind of felt like American Wedding to me, but I love American Wedding. That's a good movie. Uh, this like none of the jokes paid off in this. I really hated her parents,
Thorny's parents.
couple. Yeah, I was like, they're so fucking boring, and like just in Favre in this fucking movie is so over the top. They make him so unlikable. He's chewing his gum fucking a million miles an hour at the beginning of this movie, and it just right away you're just like, who is this guy? And then it's almost like they made him like with Stifler. When Stifler got to like American Wedding, they started making him way over the top buffoonish. That's what they're
Right.
doing with Barbara, but none of his shit is funny. He makes all the same stupid jokes, but like nothing just lands, dude.
Which is really crazy because freaking Kevin Heffernan, he's like a naturally funny guy. And Farva in the first two Super Troopers, he's the annoying asshole. He's annoying as hell,
Mhm.
but he's funny. The fact that Farva wasn't funny in this movie blew my mind because I'm like, how are you going to take arguably the funniest character, or fuck it, the funniest member of Broken Lizard, in my personal opinion? I
Mhm.
think he's funny as hell, and you make him not funny.
Everyone was not funny. Jay I can't say his last name.
Jay Chandrasekhar.
Yes, he's my favorite of all of them, and he was just like, oh my god, I just the
Yeah.
whole thing. Okay, so let's just get into this, man. Is our older okay, two parts to this question. Are older properties to films dead? Next question as well. Are comedies in general dead? Dude, there are never ever any good comedies in the theaters that
Or
in
never
the last
comedies in theaters to begin with.
I mean, they just like there's nothing that they brought out in the last at least 5 years, 5 to 6 years that I can remember since COVID. What great comedy has come out that just like blew everyone's mind? And are
Nothing.
comedies dead, my friend? Are they dead? And
I
are we
I
tired
think
of old
I
IPs? Are these guys too old
I
to be
think
doing the same shit? Go
I
ahead.
think they are, man. I think every now and then we can get some decent stuff. I mean, like we had the sequel to Freaky Friday, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that personally. I actually laughed quite a few times in the theater when I saw that with my mom. I enjoyed that film. Even Clerks 3, even though Clerks 3 is probably the least in my favorite, but I still
Yeah.
really enjoyed Clerks 3 because there was a lot of heart and there was a lot of care with that movie, and you could tell that Kevin Smith like really took his time to actually write a good script. Super
Right.
Troopers, they had
Mm.
almost 10 years to write a script, and this is what they come up with.
Boy, just the fact that took that long to write this. Was this? I do believe I could be wrong, but I think this was a film that they asked people for money for. What do you call
Uh,
one of the?
Super Troopers 2 is where they did the fundraiser.
Oh, so this one was actually funded by a studio. All right. Uh,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but no, I think comedies in general, yeah,
Mhm.
there hasn't really been. I mean, another comedy I can think of that I saw a couple years ago that I enjoyed, but again, it's a movie that nobody really talks about,
Mhm.
was No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence. I saw that movie. I thought it was actually pretty funny, and it did well at the box office, but nobody talks about it. Like, when's the last time you've seen a comedy blow everybody away, like you said, and it's become memorable? Back in the day, we got so. I think the early 2000s was huge when it came to like raunchy comedies. I mean,
Yes.
what do you think? If you think American Pie, Old School, what's the one with James, fucking with James Marsden?
James Marsden. Are you talking
Uh,
about Sex
Se-
Drive?
Sex Drive, yeah.
I love that movie, man. He's
Yeah, that's a
awesome,
good
man.
one. Or again, in the early 2000s, Super Troopers. For fuck's sake.
Well, and
It
then the
just
Hangover movies like capped off that, that I think the Hangover might be the last
like the
of
last like
comedies
popular like the last
raunchy.
comedy that made such an impact, or 21 Jump Street.
You know what? I just started watching 22 Jump Street yesterday. They're making another. They're
Good.
calling it 24 Jump Street because they're skipping 23 because it's taken so long that they figured, fuck it, we'll just
They're
go to
gonna they're
24.
they're definitely gonna make a joke about that, but I love the 21 Jump Street films. I'm actually really
Yes,
excited to see
me
what they
too.
do with this. Maybe
Me
that
too.
might be the one to bring comedy back, but I think the Hangover and the Jump Street films were almost kind of like the last great comedies that
Yeah,
really shifted comedy like to what it was. No, I mean, we had a couple little things here and there that came out, like Neighbors I thought was pretty funny.
yeah,
um but you don't really see people talking about Neighbors a lot. Like when you think of the early 2000s, I mean, what people think of are like is like the gold mine of like 2000s comedy is Super Bad. I mean, I've seen Super Bad like a million times.
yeah.
Pineapple Express even, dude, or fucking
Anchorman,
or the 40
Anchorman.
year old virgin.
Yeah, Anchorman, Dodgeball. Those you can't beat those movies, man. They're
No, man,
awesome.
I think, or even anything that Judd Apatow does, I think the last great comedy that I have truly loved, and even then, a lot of people never really saw this because it also kind of came out during COVID, was Pete Davidson's movie, The King of Staten Island.
Oh, that was a good movie, man.
It
Yeah,
was, and I think it's one of the best, like most recent modern comedies that I honestly consider a classic for myself. But
right.
nobody talks about it because Pete Davidson has kind of died off since then. It doesn't really seem like people really like Pete Davidson's comedy anymore. I love the guy, but
Me
yeah,
too.
I do agree with you, man. I think unfortunately comedies are just dead, and comedy is very subjective. It is a very hard thing to tackle because there are some people there are probably going to be some people that go to see Super Troopers 3 and laugh their asses off.
I hope there is people that laugh their ass off at this. And I didn't mean that comedies are dead in general. I just mean the
Comedies
theater
are
experience for a comedy, because they just put them on streaming now because
it doesn't really seem like film studios are wanting to invest in a comedy unless it's a romantic comedy.
But you would think that would be something great to invest in, because it doesn't cost a lot to produce a comedy. And all you have is the up chance of making a lot of money.
They only do. It seems like studios only invest if it's a romantic comedy, a dark comedy, or a horror comedy. But it's a comedy just by itself. It doesn't really seem like they're ever interested in doing that.
Or there's two guys, actually three guys: John Cena, Kevin Hart, and Ryan Reynolds. You can get one of those three guys, you got a comedy that you can put on streaming. Other than that, we get nothing.
Yeah, you get John Cena, you get fucking Ricky Stenicki. What the fuck was that movie?
I actually kind of like Ricky Stenicki, but there's a movie he just did with Eric Andre on Netflix. I think it's called Big Brother.
I don't think I saw that.
I haven't either, but I'm gonna check it out. But yeah, man, this was for me. I saw Super Troopers 3 first, and it was disappointing. And I wanted to talk to you.
It was a huge. Did any of the audience members laugh at all?
No, there was okay. So to be fair, there was maybe like 5 to 10 people in there. No, there was about 5 people, and I heard a couple chuckles. Usually when Farva or somebody was doing some kind of racial joke, I could hear some, older guy, all right.
Yeah, like they're forcing themselves to laugh. It's unfortunate, man. It really breaks my heart. I mean, I still love these guys, and Super Troopers. Nothing will ever beat the first Super Troopers, because that's a comedy classic that I watch a couple times at least a year.
Yeah.
But this just really breaks my heart, because even if like this movie wasn't like something that I was gonna love, I was hoping to at least just walk away laughing and having a good time and just being happy to see these guys.
Right.
But that's the only positive I can give the movie, is that it's just really nice to see them again. But they definitely are aging a lot. You can really tell, especially with Steve Lemmy. Steve Lemmy he looks pretty rough.
They're letting themselves go gray. Well, because the last we saw them was in Tacoma FD, and they had darker hair. They dyed their hair.
That was a great show.
It was awesome. I love that show, and it got canceled, and so they were doing some great things before this. That's why I don't understand what the fuck happened with this script. Like, what?
I remember years ago, Jay Chandrasekhar had talked about, like, they were writing a script for Super Troopers 3, and it was going to be called Super Troopers 3 Winter Soldiers. Obviously this is not the same script, so I wonder like what that originally was, and like what changed them to do this. Super Troopers 4, when that eventually comes out, I'll still see it, of course, because I want to support Broken Lizard no matter what, but
yeah,
I just really, really freaking hope that it's better than this, because I'll even say this right now, I do think this is actually Broken Lizard's worst movie.
I agree, and I used to think, I know everyone likes it, but I used to think the Slammin' Salmon was their worst movie, but this is by far, for me, the worst. But that's among great movies. They have classics. Again, I'm a huge Dukes of Hazzard fan.
Oh yeah.
I know it's not considered a Broken Lizard movie, but it is. Let's be honest. It's Broken Lizard.
The only one that I've never seen was their very first movie, which was Puddle Cruiser. Haven't seen that one.
Oh, I've never seen it either.
That was their very first movie.
So, so for you, I guess then this was a total bummer because you didn't enjoy either movie. I had one up, one down. So,
I mean, when it comes to the movies, of course, like Super Troopers 1, comedy classic.
Yes.
Club Dread, classic. Beer Fest, love it. And then what do we got? Slam and Salmon, not as great as a lot of their films, but still funny. And then I cannot remember the name of the other one they did. I think it was called Quasi. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, it was. It was
Quasi.
Quasimodo, right? I think it was that
Yes,
one. Yeah.
yes, that's what it was. Yeah, Quasi. That was, I think that was just released to Hulu. I thought that was actually
Yeah.
pretty funny too. I enjoyed it, but yeah, Super
Mhm.
Troopers 3. This is officially their worst film,
Yeah, I totally agree.
and it's a
So,
shame because the trailer actually kind of had me hoping that it would have been good.
I hadn't seen any trailers to this or Ice Cream Man, so I went into them both blind. Uh, I was more pleased with Ice Cream Man, obviously, than
I enjoyed Ice
this.
Cream Man way more, which I was actually very shocked to hear because I was
Right.
expecting myself to think Super Troopers 3 was going to be the best. I had more fun and actually laughed more watching Ice Cream Man.
I knew I had already seen this before you, and I knew in my heart, in my mind, it was terrible. But I didn't want to say shit to you, so I was just like, you know what?
Did you think I
So
was gonna hate Super Troopers 3 too?
I thought no, I thought you were gonna enjoy it the way you were talking, like you were really hyped about it, and I was like, oh fuck, maybe he'll enjoy it. And then it made me think maybe I'm just not getting this movie. Maybe I'm growing past it. But it seems like they're trying. Here's what's weird, man. When you see older dudes, these old fucking guys, trying to be like today's woke whatever culture where things are different and you have to approach things differently. Like it's just weird to see older guys trying to do this when it just seems out of place. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to make jokes for today's world, but we remember them in the past world, if that makes any sense. We remember them from the past, and the things that they were doing then were based on whatever was happening in society at the time. And it's just a different time. And that's one of the reasons why I asked you also, do you think people that are getting older and these older IPs are just dying? Like, because I was talking about our other buddy, Michael, and he was talking about the same thing because he was worried that, because Minions didn't do well, Moana didn't do well. Like all these older IPs that have been like gone over and gone through, are people losing interest? What do you think?
I think it's a combination of both. I think people are losing interest, and also eventually when you are like sticking to like a franchise or you're
Yeah.
remaking an old IP, it's not gonna like come off very well. That's why like I feel like Super Troopers should have just stopped after the second one because
Yes.
that was funny and I thought that was just a really good way to end it. But
Hmm.
since Super Troopers is like their biggest moneymaker, of course they were gonna make a third one, and I was all open for it. But unfortunately, we got this, and I thought fucking Ice Cream Man was gonna give me a big giant gallon of chocolate ice cream, but Super Troopers 3 was the chocolate ice cream.
Yeah, it sure was, and it left a fucking horrible taste in my mouth. So, well, look at that, man. We got two reviews in under an hour because there
That's
wasn't much.
shocking.
There wasn't much. Yeah, there wasn't much going on with these two films. So, uh,
If you were to
that
give
being
if you were to give I don't think I've ever asked you this before. I used to give letter grades
uh-huh.
for movies where I do like A, B,
Okay.
C, D, or an F, A plus or anything.
Sure.
I'm gonna give mine and you give yours. If I were to give a rating for Ice Cream Man, I would give Ice Cream Man like a C plus.
Okay.
For Super Troopers, I'm gonna give like a hard D. The only reason I'm giving it a D and not an F is because I just love seeing these guys on screen, and I'm
Yeah.
just happy that they're still making movies. That's like the only positive, and there were
Mhm.
tiny, tiny little scenes that I chuckled at. That's why I didn't give it an F, but I would have gotten it an F. So, what about you? What do you give your grades?
I will give Ice Cream Man a B minus because, again, the kills sustained me enough. The movie was quick. I didn't have to think much, and it entertained me. It was very entertaining. So B minus for Ice Cream Man, and for Super Troopers 3, I'm going to give this based on the fact that we have seen these guys do genius films, classics that'll be there forever. Based on that, I'm giving them an F in this movie. I was happy to see him for about 10 minutes until I realized none of them are being fucking funny. So,
Yeah, yeah, and again, bro,
yeah,
how is it that Farva, the annoying character in
right.
two of them, actually was more annoying in this film than he was in the other ones? Like he was to the point where he was
Right.
honestly unlikable.
He was, like I said, they try to make him like that Stifler progression in like American Wedding, where he's just so fucking over the top annoying that you just give up on him and like, you know what? I hope he fucking dies or something happens to him. Like that's the other thing. I didn't care about any of these fucking characters, and I used to care about them. Now it's like maybe y'all should just retire and go do something else. Their backstories, their stories within this movie were boring and dumb.
They're
like,
boring as hell, dude.
What is Mac trying to do the whole movie? He's trying to talk to some girl, the girl that's part of the
Because like his pitch is going up higher and stuff like
I'm
that.
like, what kind of
That went nowhere. I will
Yeah.
say though, Ursula has aged very well. She looks fucking incredible.
She looked like to me a little bit like Charlize Theron. It kind of
Like a great value Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
I think she looks good. Like when I saw her, like I'll tell you this, like she's got to be like in her 50s, I think. I just wanted to be able to walk up to her and say, "Baby, I'm gonna butter your bread."
I love her, man. I love her so much in Freddy Got Fingered with fucking
Oh
caning her
jeez.
legs. He's just beating her legs. Give me more.
Freddy Got Fingered. Tom Green, the guy that just loved putting things in his mouth.
Oh, I love that movie, man. Fucking, I that's one I'll watch all the time. Daddy, would you like some sausage? Sausage?
Can't believe he was
our
married to
idiot
Drew
son made a
Barrymore.
pulley system out of breakfast meats. This fucking guy.
Maybe that'll be a fun little discussion to talk about again. Like, do it. How about like a double feature? Because I don't know if you ever noticed this, Ron, but like every time like a stand-up comedian like gains traction and starts to get popular, Hollywood sees the opportunity to give them their own movie. You ever realize that? Every single time. Like when Carrot Top became popular in the 90s, he got his own movie, Chairman of the Board.
Yes, and that's actually considered kind of a classic now. Like if you watch it, it's kind of funny because of the shit that he does in it. I do like that movie, but yes, case in point, they just made that movie with what's that guy's name? Nick something. Remember the movie just came out in the theaters. It was right around the same time that Barrett came out. You're like, it was that comedy. It just came out that nobody saw. Something Barzoni. What's his name? Nick Barzone or anyway.
Oh, yes.
He's hot, and they just gave him a movie, and it fucking failed.
Or Joe Coy. He was popular for a little bit, and Jay Trandasekar gave him his own movie, Easter Sunday. I'm surprised Matt Rife hasn't gotten a movie yet. But Bill Burr, I mean, Bill Burr had his own movie, but I like Bill Burr. I think he's funny, so I thought his movie was funny. But yeah, like I said, why does Hollywood do that? Why is it like when a comedian becomes popular, they're just like, let's give him his own movie? They do that all the time, and it's crazy. So maybe a fun little double feature will be Chairman of the Board and Freddy Got Fingered.
Yeah, I would do that. I don't think Chairman on the Board is in the same stratosphere though comedically as Freddy Got Fingered. They're so dramatically different.
All right, fine. Chairman of the Board and The Pest.
Yes. It's funny. I was thinking of that. I didn't want to say it though, but The Pest. I love the beginning of The Pest, man. When he's singing in the shower. That's one of the best scenes ever.
You know what I find funny about John Leguizamo, how he was like known as like that one actor from the 90s that everybody hated and was insufferable, but nowadays he's a very well-respected actor.
He was really good in the Odyssey, man. Like I think he should be nominated for something.
He was great in the Odyssey. I love him in John Wick Chapter 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
No, I love John Leguizamo. I think he's fucking awesome. I loved him in Violent Night, but I love Leguizamo. But yeah, I don't know, man. So comedy is definitely subjective. So maybe Super Troopers 4 might be better. It is possible. Like there's a very strong chance it actually could be good, but let's just hope it's a little bit more balanced than this, because I'm not going to go see this again. I'm just not.
I won't even. No, I'll never watch this again, even when it comes out on streaming.
I'm not gonna put it in my collection.
Yeah.
If I ever watch Super Troopers, if I ever have a Super Troopers marathon, I'm only gonna watch 1 and 2. I have no reason to watch this movie again. I'm not even gonna do a single review on my channel. I'm just not.
No, it's not worth the time. So,
but I guess it was worth the time for us right now.
Right. Yeah. So it is now 2:00 in the morning, and we are done, my friends. For all of you watching out there, thanks for watching. For Sons of Cinema, I'm Ron. That's Michael Entity, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.